students, we have seen in the recapitulation how the world got polarized. It was dominated by the two superpowers, USA and USSR. But some countries were not ready to join either of the two power blocs. They decided to follow the policy of non-aligned movement. The non-aligned movement is a forum of 120 developing world states that are not formally aligned with any major power bloc. NAM, which is the short form of non-aligned movement, was established through an initiative of the three heads of state: Indian Prime Minister Jawaharlal Nehru, Yugoslavian President Josip Broz Tito, and Egyptian President Gamal Abdel Nasser. They had a meeting in 1956 at Bandung, that is Yugoslavia. They were supported by two other countries, that is the President of Indonesia Sukarno and the President of Ghana Kwame Nkrumah. Thus, these five leaders came to be known as the five founders of NAM. The first NAM summit was held in Belgrade in 1961. It was attended by 25 member states. The 14th NAM summit was held at Havana in 2006. It included 116 members and 15 observer countries. The 18th NAM summit was held in 2019 and it was held at Azerbaijan. An online NAM summit titled United Against COVID-19 was conducted on May 4th, 2020 recently. The objectives or principles of NAM were very clear. Their objective was to oppose colonialism and imperialism in all their forms. They also emphasized on cooperation amongst these five countries and later the other countries who joined it. They believed in peaceful coexistence between nations. They condemned the racial discrimination of any type. They gave importance to solidarity and emphasized that each country will support each other in times of need. They were opposed to any type of military alliance, but at the same time, they respected the human rights. They even established economic relations based on equality and wanted that it should be free from exploitation. So these were some of the objectives of the NAM. NAM, which was established by five founding members, over a period of time, it became a larger organization as more than 120 members joined it. Thus, the movement became less homogeneous and it became difficult to define it in a very neat and precise terms. But one thing was very clear, that the NAM members were not the members of either of the two rival alliances. NAM is often criticized that they follow the policy of isolation or neutrality, but it is wrong. NAM did not follow the policy of isolation, which means remaining aloof from the world affairs. For example, USA remained isolated from the world affairs from 1787, from the American War of Independence to the beginning of the First World War, that is 1914 to 18. In fact, NAM countries like India played an active role in mediating between the two rival alliances in the cause of peace and stability. NAM is not about neutrality. Why? Because neutrality refers to the policy of staying out of war. Non-aligned states, including India, in fact, were actually involved in wars from various reasons. They also worked to prevent war between others and tried to end wars that had broken out. Gradually, the nature of non-aligned movement changed. They started giving more importance to economic issues rather than political issues. In 1961, economic issues were not very important, but by the mid-1970s, they had become the most important issue. As a result, NAM became an economic pressure group rather than a political organization. NAM countries are also known as the Third World countries. The term Third World rose during Cold War era to define countries that remain non-aligned with either NATO or the Communist bloc. The Third World was normally seen to include many countries with colonial past in Africa, Latin America, Oceania, and Asia. It has become a tendency to refer to poor countries as the Third World countries. The term is often used to refer newly industrialized countries like Brazil, India, China, now more commonly referred to as the part of BRIC. The term First World defines countries such as United States, Canada, Japan, South Korea, Western European nations, and their allies. The term Second World defines countries such as USSR, China, Cuba, and their allies. These Third World countries are also known as LDC, that is, least developed countries. They had to face various challenges. That is, they had to become more developed economically and they had to lift their people out of poverty. They realized economic development was must for these countries. They also realized that without sustainable development, the country could not be truly free. If the country will not become economically developed, then it will continue to remain dependent on the richer countries, including the colonial powers from which they have recently become free. This led to the idea of creating NIEO, that is New International Economic Order. Thus, the United Nations Conference on Trade and Development, that is UNCTAD, brought about a report in 1972 entitled Towards a New Trade Policy for Development of These LDC Countries. It stated, give LDC control over their natural resources, who have been exploited by the Western countries. Obtain access to Western market so that LDC could sell their products and therefore make trade more beneficial for the poorer countries. They even wanted to reduce the cost of technology from the Western countries and wanted these countries to help them. They wanted to provide LDC with a greater role in international economic institutions. The NIEO initiative, which was earlier quite healthy and good for these countries, slowly it failed by 1980 due to stiff competition from the developed countries. The developed countries acted as a united group. On the other hand, these non-aligned countries struggled to maintain their unity. As a leader of NAM, India's response to the ongoing Cold War was twofold. Number one, it took particular care in staying away from the two alliances. It never wanted to be part of any of the two power blocs. But at the same time, it raised its voice against the newly decolonized countries and showed them the path of non-violence. Thus, India's policy was neither negative nor passive. Some people blame India that India's policy of NAM was the policy of fleeing away, not to participate in any of the problems, but it is wrong. India was in favor of actively intervening in world affairs whenever it was required. It tried to soften Cold War rivalries. India tried to reduce the differences between the alliances and thereby prevented full-scale war. Nehru responded and had great faith in a genuine commonwealth of free and cooperating nations that would play a positive role in making the rivalry little soft rather than becoming harsh and indulging into war. Thus, NAM also served India's real interest in two ways. Number one, it allowed India to take international decisions and stances that served its interest. On the other hand, India was able to balance the superpowers. If India felt ignored or pressurized by one superpower, it would tilt towards the other. Neither alliance system could take India for granted or bully it. Nothing is without criticism. So, India's NAM policy is also criticized. People blame us that India's foreign policy was unprincipled. It often refused to take firm stand on crucial international issues. They say that India was inconsistent and took contradictory postures. India signed a treaty of friendship in August 1971 with USSR for 20 years. India was criticized for joining Eastern Alliance, but India said that it needed a diplomatic and a military support during the Bangladesh crisis, and NAM treaty cannot stop India to have good relations with any countries. Thus, to sum up, NAM was a strategy evolved in the Cold War period, but with the disintegration of USSR and the end of Cold War in 1991, it lost its relevance and effectiveness. However, NAM carries some core values and enduring ideas. It meant that the poor and often very small countries of the world need not become followers of any of the big powers. They can pursue an independent foreign policy. It also democratizes the international system of thinking about an alternative world order to reduce existing inequalities. These core values will always remain relevant even after the Cold War has ended.